Our next reader, Penina Taesali, I met at the OPA, Oregon Poetry Association conference last year. She did a workshop there and we exchanged books, and I read her book on the way home on the bus, the whole thing. It was fantastic. It was one of the most incredible poetry books I'd ever read. So I don't want to take a lot of time. I'll just tell you a little bit about her here and let her book speak for itself, and other writings. So, writer, poet, educator, and cultural arts advocate, Penina Taesali is the author of Sourcing Siapo, University of Hawaii, Hala Press 2016. Sourcing Siapo is a full-length book of poetry that courageously chronicles lost family stories. Taesali has launched her latest book, a chapbook, Summons, Love Letters to the People, published by Hawaii Review 2018 for the Salem Poetry Project in March 2018. Taesali earned her MFA in writing from Mills College, Oakland, California in 2012. Currently, she lives and writes in Salem, Oregon, and has come here to read for you this afternoon. Welcome, Penina.
Thank you, Joan, and everybody for being here today on this beautiful spring day. Like Joan said, my first book is a book-length poem on a family story, and I just want to say just a little bit about it. It's told in letters, songs, and kind of a little bit of experimental poetry. It's a narrative, so it's not that crazy abstract stuff that you can't understand, but it is one long poem, and I just want to explain a little bit about the characters. So my mother had 10 biological children. I'm the second oldest, and so I have 7 brothers and 2 sisters, and my mom had, we were born each in our own birth month. So the only month not taken is February, and my mother is born in April, and she didn't have a kid in April. So the characters are after their birth months. And it's a complicated story where for the first 10 years of my life, I was raised with my relatives, my Samoan relatives, and then my mom and dad divorced when I was 10, and so with that went everything, the language, the culture, my relatives, we weren't allowed to see them. She married a Caucasian man, and it was forbidden. So it's kind of a journey towards the main character, January, to find her roots again in her other relatives and stuff like that. And the other character in the book is called the Drunk, and unfortunately that was my stepfather. And so of course, none of us have Hallmark family stories. None of us here do. If you do, I wish I was born in your family. But so I'm going to start just with the first couple pages and read two poems that song of my brother September, who's Matthew, and Song of October, who's my brother Dale. And but I'm gonna read the first couple pages, and this is kind of like a tribute. This whole book, and it turned out to be a tribute to my mother. And so I'm gonna start. She's the main character in the book. Okay. What will it take for the heart, the brain, the soul to break the hell out of hell for our mother? We didn't reckon the divorce, the judge, the laws, the white, the brown, the black, Samoan, African, Irish, Portuguese, German. We arrived with no edge but to love, and it wasn't enough. From heaven we hear her weeping. She's 8, going on 9. She weeps like an adult, unlike the child who instantly forgets what they were crying for in the first place. It is 1942 in the city of love. There are daily soup lines and bread lines, but she is not in line. She is sobbing behind the alley at 6th and Market Street in San Francisco. What could a child do to deserve such a beating? We are her unborn saints, her earthbound cherubs. We will inherit her very large ears. Grandmother named her Dolores after Our Lady of Sorrows. Her needs weaken our wings. Because she is our mother, we want to give her ours. We are the 10 children of heaven, weeping for cool mornings to comfort her, for her future men to recognize beauty. Mother, baby, bees, river, face, kingfisher, turtle, island, tree. We want to restore her wholly, but may she be a little girl again. May her dark blue bruises heal and the famine finally end. We count her tears, lift her into our wings, whispering into her seashell ears, we will protect you, Mother. Will we remember our vows? Father catches her first. And I want to say about this book too, my sister Eloise did all the artwork for it. And the title Siapo is the Samoan tapa, the tree bark that, and so in the book the cover is the seed pods and leaves. So sourcing Siapo is the narrator trying to find her roots again, sourcing the source. But Siapo too is the women, they peel the mulberry tree and they pound this on this huge long, the bark, and they make beautiful art and cloaks and everything. So it is also like a metaphor for poetry. So, and this is a picture that I asked my sister to draw. It's the two women in their bark cloaks, and they have each other's back, but they can't see eye to eye, but they have each other's back. And that's kind of the sense of the whole book. But this is called Song for October. Brother, you are born bursting with October suns, overwhelming our dark home. My light gaining, your light giving, my face, your face, my brow, your brow, my nose, your nose, your sound, the sound of magpies, red-winged blackbirds, crows and sparrows, landing on sunfields of sunflower, corn, and pumpkin. You are the chubby, roly-poly laughter, bundles of glee, and absolutely huge for a newborn. I'd run home from school to be with you, your kicking feet and arms reaching for me. I will never put you down. Mother named him Octavius for her eighth born. Baby's large hazel eyes shine. His innocence returns my innocence. This child from heaven, I'd raise him as mine. And this is for my brother. While I was working on this book, I worked on it during my MFA in Oakland. And I was, people showed up in my dreams. They wanted to be in this book. And so this is for my brother Matthew, a song for September. Matthew Eric Taesali, September 29th, 1964 to October 9th, 1991. So we lost him at 27 years old. Making an entrance, Matthew is here. Earth, wind, and fire, September, Matthew is here. Red cardinal in the Provincetown mist, Matthew is here. Wisteria twining resistance, Matthew is here. His favorite red, white-nosed rose named for peace, Matthew is here. In 1982, bought the designer shirt for $80, Matthew is here. Teddy bear Christmas Wonderland, Matthew is here. Every Christmas homemade pumpkin cheesecake, Matthew is here. Designed the windows at Winger's department store, Matthew is here. The solo dancer for the Davis High School dance troupe, Matthew is here. Choreographer for the Sacramento City College cheerleading squad, Matthew is here. The only brother who helped me with housework, Matthew is here. Shouting high over the bleachers, when are you coming to one of my games? Matthew is here. But I couldn't understand the cheering and the lifting and the dancing and the spinning. His happiness for a man, Matthew is here. Best uncle to Lisa Marie and Heather Christine, Matthew is here. Most handsome brother in the family, in the universe, Matthew is here. Teasing me, teasing the gay waiter who I thought was straight, Matthew is here. Heads turn everywhere he is, Matthew is here. Came out to me first because he thought I'd understand, Matthew is here. He thought Mother would kick him out of the house. Matthew is here. But when she found out, we thought he just didn't wish to identify with the men of the house. That wasn't it. Matthew is here. Matthew is here, stomach full of cancer. He said the cancer was nothing compared to what the drunk. Matthew is here. Walked out of the hospital 3 days later after they removed his spleen, dressed in his black cowboy hat, cowboy boots. Matthew is here. Slim and dignified. Matthew is here. At the mortuary, May and his best friend Melissa bathed and dressed his body. Matthew is here. All the angels present. Matthew is here. The mother says twice for the obituary that Matthew is Caucasian, and the reporter asked us again, Matthew is here. January says, Matthew is Samoan. Brother August glares, shut your mouth. No, she cannot. Matthew is here. Matthew is here. Matthew is a gay man. Matthew is Samoan. And now I'm going to switch from family stories to our family story in America right now, which is just as depressing or worse. But I'm going to end on a really beautiful poem. So I'm going to start with I think I'm going to start from my chapbook. This is about the travel ban. It's the title of the little chapbook, My Love Letter to the People. And this was a week after the Women's March, so this was the first travel ban that he tried to get away with. So my love letter to the people. I love the way you press Sharpie into cardboard, drawing letters taller than towers, fingers and eyes acutely aware of the trying times ahead. Underfoot, the earth is warm with breathing. The people lace boots, tie collared shoes, bundle up the newborn, for there is no time to call the babysitter. Handmade signs ready, refugees welcome, no ban, no wall, no human is illegal. I love my Muslim neighbors. At the tarmac, it has already started, the chanting coming in waves, let them in, let them in, let them in. 6:30 and all across the land, the traffic thickens, people arrive in droves. Car doors slam, umbrellas expand, horns honk high over his terrible orders. Do you feel it? The people arrive drunk with friendship, drunk with poetry, drunk with peace, drunk with justice, drunk with holding one another up. Let them in, let them in, let them in. There is Kazu in Oakland, Lika in Seattle, Alicia in Oahu, solid on their feet, bringing poems hidden inside the lining of their coats, words stitched into scarves. Inside hoodies is the poet's America. Let America be America again, but this time don't forget us. Untangle that endless ancient chain of dog-eat-dog America. America, ask why your libraries are full of tears. America, ask when you will end your wars of terror. America, ask what good is it to gain the whole world if you lose your soul. People kiss the earth, kiss beyond the stars, the opera crowning Beethoven's Ode to Joy. Let them in, let them in, let them in. Do you see it on the news? People, my people from Boston to O'Hare, to Honolulu, to Oakland, to Seattle, protecting the people without a bed, without a neighborhood, a country. At the crescendo, the opera soars for mercy. Mercy enters where the sister from Syria, where the mother from Congo, where our values are being confronted, interrogated, threatened. The opera tunneling into the eardrums of the TSA official. We are their kin. We are your kin. Your kin. 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 We will never have to tell our children that we were only following orders. All across the country, under January's new moon, the people arrive, bending the gates of heaven wide. I wanted to read this for Erica because I have a piece in there about the toddler, the Syrian toddler that was found on the beach, but I just don't want to read it right now because I don't want to read about Trump right now. But I mean, I should now. Okay, I'll just read parts of it. So this is in 4 parts. I'm sorry to whatever. But anyway, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a long poem. I'm just reading a little bit. It's after, there's an epigraph to it by Sylvia Plath's daddy. The title is Clown Daddy. You do not do any more, Black Shoe, Sylvia Plath daddy. 1. The rapture. Under the umbrella of blame, the rapture has imprisoned them. There is no room to question. The fake white hope convinces he alone will fix their every disappointment, but he is no statesman, no chief, no Muhammad Ali. He is the freak show of Fifth Avenue, the Midas sack of daft. He shoves, he grabs, he bullies, he scams. He flaunts his pack to the promised land of dollars, a fantasy they'd love to be. So they hem, they haw, they stake their stakes on sandy ground. Don't bother them with tax returns or treason or assault. They like him fine the way he is and says he's just like us. What piss of tis of thee for country when the day after the election 4 women line up in a row on Good Morning America. The cameraman cuts into the live outdoor audience, and as if on cue, a Barbie team, all puckered and made up pretty pink, sporting tees wearing one word each, make America white again. You can't believe that the last one wearing the again is a teenager. She slouches like she doesn't want to play You Pray or be a part of her mother and the perky two standing so absurdly. You blink the blur, but it is clear these eyes do see. He is their Fever now, and not a one will imagine how Reagan's nickels never trickled down. So they blame it on the liberals, the migrants stealing jobs, the Muslims fasting for Ramadan, and the working welfare moms. It's the Clown Daddy Doom production, for they believe the way to prosperity is to smash the others to kingdom come. 3. Oh, say, can you see the astounded parts, the tongue in knots, the rope is long, the unpaid contracts, the heretical sucker punch, the private prison stocks, the families forced apart, the rotting coral reefs, the breaking ice sheets, the TV standard of bling, the Miss Universe crown, the glitter, the gown, the bathing suit competition. 4. The wailing of the wells. The seascapes mourn the sands and blur near the town of Badarum, Turkey. A 3-year-old washed ashore. The unexpected bundle isn't breathing, and his brother, 2 years older, and his mother of 32, fleeing the slaughter in Syria to reach the island of Kaus. Their life jackets unsuccessful. The father held his family. His wife, his little ones didn't make it. He survived to tell about the drownings. We have failed. For he cannot lift his sons up to the sky to play that giddy game of laughter that brings them back to life. Can your mind open borders? Can empathy inoculate both eyes? Can you hear the morning waves? Can you see the waves are mourning? If not the waves, then what about the wells? Our wells. The wells are wailing. Our wells are wailing. The sonar, please, human, put your ear to the ground. That's a long poem. There's a lot of other sections to that poem, but and now I want to read this poem that I wrote recently. It's called One Blood, and it starts with an epigraph. By James Baldwin. It's not a romantic matter. It is the unutterable truth. All men are brothers and all women sisters. James Baldwin. Is it the Earth's magnetic field, the fluidity of light interlacing all to that galactic vibration, a force shield protecting life on Earth? If we are one blood, why all the bloodshed? If we forsake the living, breathing, that gaping shock of a child screaming in the dust, their families blockaded under bombed-out cities, banished from their homes, won't the children's nightmares boomerang into our blood, stain our sheets? How do we sleep? In America, the short answer is Lunesta. Take your sleeping pills like a good little soldier, until your soul succumbs to numbness, to the erasure of what is humanely possible. Courage. It isn't a mystery. Love thy neighbor as thyself. It was a way of life for my father's people in Samoa long before the Bible seized the land. Father said, preparing breadfruit, taro, and fish inside the umu, Father said treasure is in the art of sharing. Human cousins, cousin Vasa, cousin Messina, cousin Fetu, cousin coconut tree, cousin drum. In Sweden, refugee children suffer from a resignation syndrome. Upon hearing the news that their family will be deported, the children go to bed and they don't get up. They do not eat. They do not move for days, for years. They stay in a coma of despair. Depression shrinks the hippocampus, which triggers emotion and memory. And even if a family is granted asylum and they read the residency permit at their daughter's bedside, she doesn't return. It may take months or years for her to remember how to open her eyes, or how to hold her head upright, or experience family alive in Sweden. My coworker's face grows paler every day. She is drained, in disbelief solemn. As the coming dictatorship rages hard at our borders, the reckless president escalates legislation removing more children from their parents. Private prisons boom. People who have every right to seek asylum in the U.S. descend into more horror, more chaos. Half the nation doesn't care, merely ripping wings off fragile, exhausted bodies. And the other half howls for equality, justice, for the whereabouts of the 1,500 migrant children missing, unaccounted for. They cannot be found with their host families. What have they done? What are we doing? My coworkers ask, how many days? Where is special counsel? It has been 485 days, but in 4 hours it will be day 486. Why is coal mining waste being dumped back into our rivers? He sinks more and more every day, but remains afloat like styrofoam. Yet, the constellations offer boundless opportunities for us to learn ways to haven the vulnerable and the sick. In the midst of survival, we instinctively leap forward to save the life of another. Here, we gather to plan again the underground conduits to sanctuary. We become harbor, human. That is the moment we become civilized. I forgot to do the translation of the Samoan's words. So Umu is the earth oven, and Vasa is the sea, and Messina is the moon, and Fetu is the star. And how much time do I have? A few more poems? Okay.
Let's give you 5 more minutes.
5 more minutes, okay. I'll just read 2 short poems now. So I wrote a poem on Earth Day. I'm trying to, where'd she go? And it's called The Word of the Day. And it kind of reminded me of your poem about the mourning for what might come. So the word of the day, Earth Day, Sunday, April 22nd, 2018, and it has an epigraph. When will we realize that we cannot eat money? Chief Seattle. The word of the day is atrocious. The roses root deeper for cleaner water to survive in August. The petals are mourning for their blossoms to open for our eyes to wonder, for the wild green elegant morning, for the water breaking into the brook, for the mother and her drake and their 7 ducklings paddling on sacred waters of the first peoples mourning for Mother Earth. And the word of the day tomorrow, let it not be brutality or perversion or white blindness or oil. Let it be lemur or leopard or rhinoceros or red abalone or Atlantic right whale or the Yangtze River dolphin or leatherback sea turtle or mountain gorilla or Siberian tiger or jaguar or honeybees or coral reef or Vasa or rainforest or Guinea or Mekong or Mississippi River or water.
Well done.
Okay, and then I'm going to end with this last poem that I wrote after my first book, Sourcing Seattle. I just want to give you a tiny bit of backstory to it. So when I was reunited with my father, I was 30, and it was just a glorious occasion. My aunts and uncles were there, and everybody was there. We were sitting in the living room, and my Uncle Paul asked me, how old are you? And I said, I'm 30, and then he started crying. You're 30 and you don't have children? You don't have, and he just was, and then I was like, uh-oh, I was super embarrassed. And then my father spoke up, and my father, I really want to write a memoir about my dad because he's just such a phenomenal human being. So he spoke up and he said, don't worry, daughter, your books will be my grandchildren. And that just stopped the conversation. So this is for him. This is for him. And I have to say that when I say well, it's the fish in the ocean, because sometimes my tongue isn't perfect with all the words anyway. So, and then I just want to say a tiny bit more about this poem. So Va in Samoan is that distance, the relationship between earth and sea, man and wife, I should say husband and wife. It's in relation to things, and it's that distance, that distance between. And so that's important to know before I read this. 13 lines from the beloved daughter. We meet again in this brilliance where the iridescent undulates the body of Vasa Pacifica, where spaciousness is allowed, mystery, no need for papers, the gate is open, well echoes, well ethos, cultivating the waterscape of Va, a pristine betweenness, this endless weave from land to sky, to the compassion of Vasa, where time is and cannot be lost. We reconvene in silence at our highest calling. I hear your last 4 words. Good morning, beloved daughter, and all the mornings since your legacy for me to live, to birth the deep, where the hummingbird hovers over the page just above your well song. Here for you, Father, this book of poems, my first child, your grandchild. In the prism of your cosmic laughter, we feast on earth. Thank you.